Hey guys, Nova here. First thing I wanted to say before I jump into anything is I want to say thank you guys so much I just hit over 120 subscribers just within the past 2 weeks. I never thought that I would clear 100, let alone 120. I really never thought I would ever hit 100, and just thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I definitely want to keep this going, and because of saying that, I really wanted to touch on a little bit more of a fun topic today. I had a different one kind of lined out that I had bullet pointed out, but this one's going to be a little bit more off the cuff and just fun. It seems like fun to talk about. But today we are going to get into talking about AUs and why I think they're really fun and why it's just really fun to mess around with. Throwing characters into other things can be a lot of fun. There will be some talk of like original characters and fan characters in this, as well as like crossover things and whatnot, just because for me at least they kind of go hand in hand. I admittedly like to create fan characters. When it comes down to it, I'm not really one of those who think that people shouldn't. I think it's fine too. It's fun to play around with those concepts. And I've always done that, and I just think it's fun to do. But I figured with this particular picture that I'm doing for the video, I thought it was appropriate to jump on and do something about AUs instead. So, this one I had a lot of fun with. Me and my girlfriend have been talking about playing around with essentially a Mass Effect AU for My Hero Academia characters, because we have recently gotten into My Hero Academia, and oh my goodness, I need more episodes like now. Like, when it comes down to it, it's just, the AUs have been a lot of fun. We tend to do AUs for a lot of things. As a matter of fact, one of the first things that I ever played with, like alternate universe-wise or crossover-wise, it's funny because it was really out there, but it was, okay, we took the Naruto characters and we threw them into World of Warcraft. Because at the time, me and my parents were playing a lot of World of Warcraft, and I was a nerd for Naruto. I still am, to an extent. It was a lot of fun, and I actually may double back and revisit some of those designs. I don't think I can find my old original pictures that I drew of the character designs, which is kind of sad. I wish I could, because those are, oh my goodness, those are 15 years old. Oh. You know what, I almost hope that I can find them now, just because that would be fun to revisit and do, like, showing what my art looked like back then, and then do the redesigns, which with those, I might do, like, individual, excuse the tangent, but I might do, like, individual illustrations, not character sheets, because for one of them I've already done the character sheet. Yes, it's for one of my fan characters. Oh well, whatever. But I digress. This has been really fun to play with, and frankly, to me, AUs are a fun thing to mess with just because they let you take characters that you already enjoy and put them into new scenarios, which can lead to a lot of creative liberties being taken, and it's just a fun creative exercise, especially whenever you're taking characters and putting them into an established world, just because you get to figure out, like, what their background would be in that kind of universe, and what they would probably end up going on to do as time went on if they were a part of that universe. And for me, at least, it's a really fun creative exercise, and like with stuff like this, I don't draw sci-fi stuff very often. Actually, the blaster pistol that he's holding, I had to use so many references for, and I hardly ever draw that kind of stuff. I don't draw very much sci-fi at all, and things like this, whenever I get excited to draw for them, it lets me kind of push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, and that's really valuable, like from a development standpoint in regard to art. Finding things, be it creatively or technique or anything like that, to push yourself out of your comfort zone is beneficial. And to me, a lot of times that's what this can kind of lead to. It's like getting into crossing things over with different fantasy things. Like, we have a whole thing that we've played with for this one game called Eden Eternal that I used to play a lot. I haven't played it in forever. I need to get back on it. But I used to play it a lot. And we've taken a couple of things and, you know, crossed it over with it, put it in that world, and doing things like that, or throwing things into Sword Art Online or something like that just because of the concept, actually got me out of my comfort zone a good bit to draw more fantasy-oriented stuff. Because I used to stick to mostly just modern type stuff. Especially when I was younger, my big thing to draw was like Batman-style stuff. At least when I say Batman, I mean the animated series that ran in the 90s. because I grew up on that, and I still love that series. It is my all-time favorite, probably, cartoon of all time. But between that and then doodling Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, or doodling a bunch of the other kinds of stuff that tend to take place in more of a modern setting, I spent a lot of time drawing stuff that was more modern-ish or superhero costumes whenever I was younger. It wasn't until getting into fantasy stuff with like World of Warcraft and that sort of thing that I even branched out and did more with like fantasy styles. Armor is something I still need to work on, which I'm doing a bit more with now. Hilariously, I can probably thank Dragon Age for that, which if you've never played Dragon Age, I 100% recommend that series. It's so good. Same with Mass Effect. If you like sci-fi, and especially if you like story-driven stuff, like, oh my gosh, play the games, please. I actually played Andromeda first, before I played the first 3, and unpopular opinion here, I actually really like Andromeda. I enjoy it for, essentially, I really enjoy it for the exploration aspect. I love that kind of stuff. It's just fascinating to me, and the way the visuals look were gorgeous and amazing, and I need to stop before I continue on an insanely long tangent about it because I'm really bad for that. I just think that when it comes down to it, AUs are just a really fun way to push yourself. And it can be a way to maybe push yourself into coming up with more story things that you maybe wouldn't otherwise. I think we actually, it was a long time ago, I'm sorry, I just had to stop myself just because we took Yu-Gi-Oh! GX one time and a bunch of the characters and threw them into this space thing, and it was a good bit Star Wars inspired, a good bit, and when I said a long time ago, my brain immediately filled that in within a galaxy far away. So, just mini tangent. But that really pushed us to do things that we really wouldn't have done otherwise from a story aspect. It also, if you're using, like, rather than using established characters into a different established world, if you use your own characters into an established world, at least for me, it's let me play around with developing characters without having to put too much thought into the world building around them if I have enough of an aspect, like a thought process of how the world is that they're going to be in anyway. Like if it's very modern centric, like I do have this one project that is a very long time project. It's getting fully revised at this point so that I can put stuff out with it that I would like to do. But it's kind of a, it's the best way I can describe it. Essentially think secret agent stuff, kind of, sorta. Crime novels, that kind of stuff. But because of that, the setting was really obvious. The setting was pretty modern, very real world in a lot of ways. But putting them, to develop the characters, putting them into different worlds that were the same, like, structurally, where I could put them into similar instances and situations, let me kind of develop them a bit more. There has been an instance of just playing around with crossing it over with Marvel, and that went into previous generations of the characters in question, and all that, and that's a story for another day. And then I have a whole thing with superhero characters that I'm working on, and the majority of the characters in question started out as fan characters for mostly DC, but some Marvel. I grew up mostly on DC. I read some Marvel comics, but I was reading my uncle's old comics, and he mostly had, at least at the time, he had DC, and then he had X-Men, specifically out of the Marvel stuff. He had a couple of Spider-Man comics, but mostly it was X-Men. And so for a long time, DC comics in general, and then from Marvel, mostly just X-Men was what I knew and what I really enjoyed, but I digress. Starting those characters out as fan characters let me be able to kind of establish their personalities, figure out the kind of things they were about, for me to later then port them over. You know, they're my fan characters, they're my characters that I can then put into their own setting in a world that's specifically tailored to them. And it's one that I really enjoy playing with, and it's a concept that I enjoy playing with. But playing with them first, in a fandom sense, actually helped me develop them better. And then I've done points like with the crime serials thing, where I've taken established characters and then thrown them into the little crime serial kind of setting that I had already built, so I could establish the rules better there and get a better hang on the world without having to worry about the original characters overall. Which that did end up developing into just playing with just my original concept with my original characters. But being able to develop those things separately, for my creative process in particular, it worked really well. It was good for me, and it's just a way that my creative process has worked. Doing a lot of these things in these crossovers, and these crossovers and AUs has really helped me to kind of flex my creative muscles and just to try things that I hadn't before. I hadn't done very much with sci-fi stuff, like even playing with it, not just drawing it, but even playing with it, despite the fact that I absolutely love sci-fi. And now with this, I've been playing with it a bit more, and concept-wise and even story-wise, it has potential if you do it in a way that you really enjoy. You might surprise yourself with it. But I've always thought that AUs were a really good thing and a really fun thing to do. I know some people are big on just, you shouldn't deviate from the canon, which kills me because if you want to stick strictly to the canon, go stick strictly to the canon. There are people who you can talk with about strictly the canon and you're fine. Nobody's going to take that away from you. But let people talk about fanon and AUs and crossovers the way they want to. It doesn't hurt you and it's fun. And I really think that it's something that most everybody should try out, at least to see if they enjoy it or see if it's at all beneficial to their creative process. This video has been really rambly, and I know it has, but I did this one kind of off the cuff just because I wanted a more lighthearted topic. But yeah, I really think, is there anything you guys have ever done crossovers or AUs of that you wouldn't mind sharing in the comments? I'd be really interested to hear it because I'm always interested in seeing what other people have come up with that I haven't even thought about playing with before, because it's really interesting to see, and I think that it could be a lot of fun to hear what other people have enjoyed throwing in a blender, because that kind of thing can be so much fun, and you never know what other things have clicked in other people's heads as, oh, this could go really cool together. So if you guys know any in particular that you really enjoy, let me know, okay? But I just wanted to say thank you guys again so much for surpassing 100 subscribers. Like I said, I never, ever, ever thought that would happen. Ever. This video was supposed to go up 2 days ago, by the way. It's going up on Sunday. That's just kind of what's happened. I meant for it to go up yesterday, but originally it should have gone up Friday. I think I'm going to be changing my my weekly video posting date to Saturday, especially if where I work right now, if we go back to 8-hour shifts, I will be working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day again, instead of 4 days a week for 12 hours each. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys have any really neat AUs or things like that, crossovers, anything where you've just thrown things together to see what sticks that you really enjoy. And I don't know, if you want to hear more topics like this, just let me know. Give it a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!